There's no decision from the Rutherford County School Board on the district's mask policy. Instead, members decided to hold a work session this week with parents and also teachers. The special meeting on masks comes as 1,000 students test positive. Meanwhile, 10,000 of 48,000 Rutherford County students had to be quarantined for at least one day. The Rutherford County School Board's decision on the district's mask policy coming less than 1 week after mandatory closures for students and staff to complete isolation periods. Tonight, this packed room of parents fed up.
It has done a great deal to my daughter to put a mask on her. And I, for one, am a parent that will choose to not put my daughter in a mask. If you today make that choice for me, I will make sure that I send you paperwork and you will make the choice to pay me child support. You're going to pay me child support because that means you're taking responsibility of my child.
Armed with signs and passionate pleas, some asking board members not to add any additional anxiety or fear to their students' day.
Bullying those with masks is unacceptable, but flipping that to bullying those without mask is also unacceptable.
One mother requesting no decision be based on what she describes as heckling and bullying.
And we've got to do something, and you have the ability, regardless of what other people say.
At one point, this student taking to the podium in support of enforcing mask mandates to complete his junior year in person and also protect his family. His personal story, though, interrupted.
This time last year, my grandmother, who was a former teacher at the Rutherford County school system, died of COVID because someone wasn't wearing a mask. By not wearing masks in schools, it's irresponsible.
Parents and students feeling the pressure this back-to-school season.
And there's clear frustration on both sides.
There's no statewide sick leave and quarantine policy, so each district sets their own rules. The Metro Nashville Teachers Association says with the number of quarantines going on right now, it's inevitable that teachers will burn through their regular sick leave. So now Metro schools and other districts are putting in new policies to address teachers out sick with COVID. A new COVID sick leave policy now in effect for teachers at Metro Nashville Public Schools. The policy says if a teacher tests positive for COVID, they can continue working remotely. If they're too sick to work, teachers can now use special COVID sick leave. The paid leave is only available for vaccinated teachers. Dr. Adrian Battle explained why at a recent board meeting.
If you have chosen not to get the vaccine to significantly reduce the chances of illness from COVID, then it's not the responsibility of the district to financially compensate you for that decision.
But some are concerned this policy could be seen as discriminatory toward those who choose not to get the vaccine. The executive director of the Professional Educators of Tennessee says the policy risks violating equal protection clauses, and districts should seek policies that apply equally to all teachers. A spokesperson with MNPS says their legal team approved the policy and it is not discriminatory. The policy still allows unvaccinated teachers to access the COVID sick leave if they're medically ineligible to get vaccinated. Dr. Battle says this policy will help protect teachers who get sick with breakthrough cases while still meeting the needs of students.
We're trying to create the safety, the right working conditions for our staff, but also how we can keep that continuity of learning for our students. But that will be a part of our process moving forward.
The Metro Nashville Education Association is applauding the decision, saying in a statement in part, "We are grateful Dr. Battle and the board listened to the voices of our educators to reinstate COVID sick leave. Providing paid COVID sick leave communicates the district wants to keep educators in MNPS and that their health matters." The Williamson County School Board also put in a new COVID sick leave policy for teachers. Teachers now get an additional 10 sick days if they have a positive COVID test. This applies to all teachers regardless of vaccination status. We've seen a steady growth in the number of people hospitalized with COVID since about mid-July, and we've broken the record for COVID hospitalizations every single day since September 1st. Packed hospitals and exhausted doctors as the pandemic continues reaching new milestones in Tennessee.
Right now, we are just in the heat of the worst COVID surge that we have seen.
ICU Dr. Stacy Vallejo helps patients experiencing the most severe complications from COVID. She says the majority of her patients are unvaccinated.
They are in large part very young, and it's very sad. They have young families, they have young spouses. A lot of them have a lot of regret, and it's just been really tough to watch.
And sadly, your workplace is not the only hospital experiencing this right now.
Right. All the hospitals in the city and all the hospitals in the state are overwhelmed and busy and doing the best we can.
This graph from the State Department of Health shows the progression of COVID hospitalizations. You can see a steady growth from mid-July to now. The latest data shows more than 3,700 Tennesseans in the hospital with COVID right now.
It's just tough, and it's really stressing the system.
We asked Governor Bill Lee what he's doing to help hospitals reaching their breaking points. He says he's deploying more National Guardsmen to help in hospitals and increased funding to help staff them.
Because that's the real challenge. It isn't the beds, it's the staff for those beds. So we're working on multiple different avenues to increase staffing in our state.
Dr. Vallejo is encouraging people to take steps to prevent a hospital visit in the first place through universal masking and vaccinations. Right now, there are 67 children hospitalized with the coronavirus, and about a third of all hospitalizations are in the ICU.